Hello, I'm Dana Cowley, and you're watching Charter Local Edition. Today we're in Carson City, and we're visiting with the mayor, Bob Crowell. Bob, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here today.
The legislature is in full swing, and one of the new issues is marijuana. Now that the state's passed that, how can you regulate it?
Well, that's a good question. And let me just start off by saying, we're proud of being the capital here, and we're proud that every 2 years the legislature comes up here, and it's just a great. It's a great center for democracy, and so we kind of have an edge over other communities because we live here. But one of the you mentioned marijuana. That's one of the things we're looking at as this session goes on. Medical marijuana was passed in 2000 by a vote of the people, and actually it's a constitutional amendment. And so we have, I think, 2 operating stores of medical marijuana in Carson City now. And then obviously when the question 1 or 2, I keep getting them mixed up, but passed this last election, authorized what they call retail or adult marijuana or recreational marijuana, whatever you call it. And so we're going through the drill right now of is that a good thing or a bad thing for our community, and what are the potential pitfalls if it's here. What are the potential pitfalls of just dealing with marijuana in general? Because marijuana, whether it's legalized in the form of a retail store or not, we want to make sure that we're staying on top of the social issues that can come up with marijuana. So we're watching all the bills in terms of one, what kind of regulatory authority do we have over retail marijuana? And as local government in this state, we live under what's called Dillon's Rule. And I don't know if you're familiar with Dillon's Rule, but Dillon's Rule, kind of in a nutshell, it's got a lot of different nuances to it. But Dillon's Rule basically says, local government exists at the behest of state government. So, local government really has no particular authority other than what this legislature gives you or takes away from you. And so that's why we're very interested in what kind of regulatory authority that they're looking at giving us, if any. And we believe that there are places where we need to be able to have regulatory authority if we're going to do it here. And there are some counties in Nevada that have zoned out retail marijuana. They've zoned out medical marijuana as well. For us, we want to make sure that we know all of the ins and outs. We want to know what it's all about before we make that kind of decision. But that'll be coming up, this summer. So we're watching pretty carefully in terms of the money. And we want to make sure that if we're going to have that in our community, that we have sufficient funds that are from the sale of that product that will help us offset the social costs.
Well, it's the taxable commodity for the state, like cigarettes or any other sin tax, and then you've also got the opportunity to regulate from a growth standpoint as far as a for-profit crop.
Yeah.
Just like hops, wine, grapes, anything else, tobacco.
Yeah, and that's it's kind of that 3-tier system on retail marijuana is 3-tier. You have a producer, a distributor, and a retailer, and there are different tax mechanisms in Nevada. They're looking at each one of those levels. The governor's got some marijuana revenue in his budget that kind of looks at one or more of those tiers, and so we're looking to see what kind of funds are coming off of those that we can have that would help offset the social ills.
Well, and then I think that it's interesting in Nevada compared to other states that you're talking about moving ahead with the clubs too, and with the tourism industry, the casinos. That just plays well into that, where other states might have different approaches with it. So how do you think the state can capitalize on the gaming industry that is already such a big revenue driver for you as far as advancing the marijuana clubs for tourists?
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to be very careful about marijuana events and marijuana clubs, about where it can be smoked, and we want to make sure that's one area because there's a bill that would allow smoking marijuana at different events, and we want to make sure that we have the ability to say yes or no on that type of thing for special events where you're smoking outside of what the actual referendum says you can do. So we're watching that very carefully, that we have the authority. And right now the bill that's running through the legislature here does give us that authority to say, this is not the right place or the right time to have that type of an event in our community. So we're watching that. Nevada's kind of I don't know what you call it, a libertarian state. You know, we have lots of, you know, gaming 24. You know, we live a 24-hour lifestyle here, and you don't really see that anywhere else. And so you'd think that, you know, another form of whatever you want to call it, another form would fit right in here, and maybe it does. I don't know, but I will tell you that we're studying very hard what's happened in other states about what happens from a social standpoint. One, you know, what's it do to our hospitals? What's it do to our behavioral health systems? And what's it do to our cops and law enforcement folks in terms of, do we have the capability to, you know, make sure that we regulate that properly in terms of drunk driving or dealing with those issues? And that all costs money. And again, you know, I'm not complaining about it, but I'll just tell you, you know, the only money we get is what they give us. So that's, you know, and I wish it were otherwise, but you know, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
That's the way it works in my life.
So we watch all, yeah, oh, we're done.
Thank you. We appreciate you joining us so much. This is the Mayor of Carson City, Bob Crowell. I'm Dana Cowley, and this is Charter Local Edition.